Welcome back, everyone. We are here, the Game One Loves Forever, the golf podcast. Once again, thank you, Rich, for joining me. Episode number 2.
Of course, man. Pleasure
Thanks
to
for
be here
coming
as
out.
always.
Yeah. So today, I was thinking, since we are a new podcast, a baby podcast, I was thinking that we could go over the unwritten rules of golf.
Oh, I love rules.
Yeah. So it's essentially, rules that no one really tells you when you first start golfing, or, you just don't really know unless you play.
Right.
Or it doesn't make sense unless you play, right? So since you are a newer golfer in the last couple of years, I want to test your knowledge and see if anybody explained these to you, or if you know them now, or if it's even something you just heard for the first time today.
Perfect, man.
All
Let's
right?
rock and roll.
Okay.
A game one loves forever. You can only love it forever if everybody follows the unwritten rules, or
exactly.
written in this case.
Yeah. Yes, because I had to write these ones down. But
yeah, but there is some etiquette that needs to be followed, that should be followed, and I think every true golfer can agree, right? And even as a newer golfer, there's things that I've grown to know over time.
Yep.
That somebody said, "Hey, man, we'll go over the
take
rules.
it easy.
Yeah, take it easy. Hey, pay attention to these things."
All right. So the first one is quiet, please. Meaning when another person's about to swing, all quiet on deck. I mean, if you watch it on the tour, you kind of see everyone's hands go up, or not everyone, but the moderator's hands go up and everyone's quiet. Is that something you knew from the beginning?
I knew that early, and I have friends. My good buddy Chad Foe, shout out, pay attention. Yeah, I knew that one pretty early. And I would get frustrated having people talk when I'm trying to focus too much. But yeah, that's definitely a great rule to follow.
Yeah. I think it's still something that has to be taught, or at least told, I'm sorry, because, if you're just your first time out, you're talking, you're having fun, you're telling stories. And yeah, you just, after someone hits, you're like, hey, Rich, you can't talk to people's backswing or when they're starting to putt, or, so.
And it really depends on who you're playing with, what you're playing for, if there's anything on the line.
Very true.
Yeah. If you're out there having fun, and everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
But even if my recommendation is, even if one person is like that, then everybody follows suit.
Yeah. Now here's a little spin on it though, is now I know everyone likes to bring out their speakers and they like to play music. So that has been a kind of controversial, like I know at our men's club, some guys love it, some guys hate it, and some guys even hate if you're a group ahead of them and you're playing music. So, personally, I don't care.
I don't care either.
Yeah.
When you're playing music, you kind of get in the flow state a little bit better. You're kind of cruising around. I enjoy the music. I'm also good with turning it off and just being in the quiet, being in the zone.
Yeah.
Like the meditation portion of it. But if you're playing, like, don't turn the music on right as it starts, right? But if you're playing throughout, then it's really not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that too is like, if it's constant, right? Even if it's changing songs or whatever, but it's constant, then you're fine. You can kind of tune it out.
Yeah. And like you said, people ahead of you playing music or behind you, be respectful of the course. You don't need to bring out the biggest speaker and play it as loud as possible where you can hear it 4 holes over. That's disrespectful. But if you could, if it's in the background, totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is honors on the first tee or the next tee. Did you know about that one?
100%. Now, I was doing it with pars, and I think if you're with a group where par is something we celebrate, then great. I totally respect the birdie juice flow.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Birdie's up first, right?
Yeah.
And if you, from experience and watching this on multiple golfers, when you see somebody skip ahead, they do it. Karma strikes pretty rapidly out there,
So, sorry to back up for those. Honors just means like if you score the best score on the hole, you have the tee box. So you're the first one to tee off on the next hole. So, and then if, for instance, say you had honors a few holes back or 2 holes back, and you tie with someone, you still have honors to kind of clarify. So, and then what Rich was talking about is if you birdie a hole, everyone backs off. It doesn't matter. Even if you're playing ready golf, you back off because it's bad juju or it's bad karma to tee off before someone who birdied. And like Rich said, usually you shank it, you pull it, whatever. So,
and even if they give you the green light,
oh yeah, no,
my experience, nope, no, you got it. You got the box, bro.
Yeah. Even if the first time I'll let someone, like, if they don't know or if they do know, I'll kind of let them hit, and then I'll kind of slight, like, hey, thanks for jumping from the birdie. They're like, oh shit, my bad. But then after that, I'll be like, hey, I was like, watch out, like, Rich had a birdie or JR had a birdie.
Yeah, you get a soft warning from JR for sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah,
that's kind of a fun unwritten rule because you get to, mess around with everyone.
Yeah.
So watch your partner's ball. So meaning when you tee off, or let's say you're hitting in the sun, or just in general, you just watch. If you're in a cart or you're standing next to them, just watch where their ball is, especially off the tee box. You want to make sure you watch it because if it's a little offline or whatever, you want to go out and you want to help them find it, right? So we can continue to play pace of play, and we continue to move fast.
Pace of play is important on that one for me. If you're in the cart with somebody, that's your partner.
Yep.
You watch their ball, right? Of course, in the foursome or whatever, you're watching everybody's. But the idea is, like you said, pace of play and know where to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I thought I hit it over here. No, actually, you're a little bit back here. You're a little forward over here. Especially on some courses out here in California, you get the sun in your eyes a lot, right? And even if you're coming off the tee and you strike it well, you're not going to be able to find that thing, right? And I'm sure in other states they have the same thing, depending on where the light is, how the clouds are, and everything like that, right? Where the reflection of the light's coming off of. But that's super key for pace of play. And I really didn't know that at first, to be honest. Like, I watched other people doing that. Oh, yours is over here. Yours is over here. And then you kind of follow suit with that. Okay, cool. And then it's also really exciting, whether you're talking trash with the competitive player, or just your friends. Like, oh man, you're gone. You're in the water. That was one that I didn't quite know. That I found pretty fast.
And see, it's interesting that you learned it almost by accidental, like you just learned behavior. Yeah, you saw everybody kind of watch. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch their ball too, right? For whatever reason. Yeah. I will say I'm a horrible offender of this because I'll hit, and then I'll kind of watch my ball, and then I'll usually fumble around in my, for for whatever reason, I'm horrible at watching other people's balls, and they'll hit, and then they'll say, hey, where'd you see that? I'm like, oh, my bad, man. I wasn't watching.
I've known you to be one that either you're doing your own thing, or you're helping somebody on their swing if they ask you unsolicited, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, hey, dude, tuck your elbow, like drop it in, right? Like watch your plane. But it's something I could probably pick up too. I'm fascinated with some of the players we play with, so watching their ball is really easy. Like, holy smokes, you drove that 340. Like, what?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm like, oh yeah, yours went right over there past the forward tees.
Yeah, you just passed the ladies, bro.
Just kidding.
You're good.
But so the next one is minimize movement. So meaning, and I do this a lot too, is where someone's putting or even swinging, you could be in their line of sight, so you don't want to move. I've been walking around the green, and then someone starts their putting stroke, and I freeze. So is that anything everyone told you, or
no? I just watched other people and watched their mannerisms. I'm really good at picking up on different things, like just in my regular job and everything else. No, I wasn't told that one. I've been told a couple other things that I think we're going to talk about later. It's really easy when you're in the cart to not walk around just don't bang around or anything, or be in their line of vision. I'm one that asks, like, hey, dude, do you need me to move the cart? Like, do you need a little more space? We're kind of up on the ball. But no, I found that after playing for a while, it does frustrate me when we're on the green and we're putting and somebody's moving around, reading the green, and like continuous movement. So I try to do my best on that too. That was something that I learned as well.
Yeah. I learned that pretty quick in competitive golf. during high school, some guys didn't even like you to be in front of them when they're putting. So you can't even be in their 180 view, 180 degree view.
That'd be really
Yeah.
hard with my periffs, dude. I can see both my hands right now. Like this, I can see both my hands.
So you're like 185.
Yeah, it's going a little bit, you know.
So
yeah, I try. I don't mind if somebody's in front. Just keep it down.
Yeah.
Stay
Honestly,
still.
like I'm so like tunnel vision, other than like some noise, but I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I'm literally just focused on the ball, and anything outside of my like hat when I'm leaning down and out of little, half circle. Yeah. Nothing really bothers me.
I do know I play better when I'm like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, yell 4 when you hit a wayward shot or a shot that's not on line or into the next fairway. Or maybe it looks like it's going to hit someone. If
you've ever been on a course, that's a rule walking on, right? If you're hitting in someone's direction, it's wayward shot. You're going off into the third fairway and somebody's hitting their ball over there, right? You yell 4 and you want to say the direction so they know where the sound is coming from, so they know if that's them, because there's so many players out there at different lengths on the course that you want to make sure you're calling the direction as well.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because if, let's say it's an opposite fairway and they're coming back to us, and I always yell 4 right, well, for them it's their...
No, they're coming back. It's still right.
Oh, it's still right. Okay, then never mind.
Yeah, yeah. It's a wayward thought.
Yeah, because I always thought like 4 right. I'm like, no, well, they think it could be the left.
Yeah, that's only if they're that's only if they're going the same direction.
Thanks for teaching my right and left today.
Yeah, I got you, dude. Nailed it.
Yeah, there we go. So okay, well that point is moot. So but yeah, I mean I'm not really a loud person, but I yell 4 like nothing because I don't want to hit anybody, and I don't want to get hit.
Yeah,
100%. I don't want to get hit. So, yeah, that's one that's pretty easy. But I don't think I ever tell anybody they have to yell 4. I'm thinking
collectively as a unit,
that's
we're
true.
all
And then
yelling.
you'll yell it, and then you'll be like, oh, why did you do that? And then you explain.
Yeah. So,
because I don't think I've ever told someone like at the beginning of the round, like, hey, just in case you hit one way out of nowhere, yell 4. So
it happens to everybody.
Yeah. Wait for all players to tee off, meaning once you hit, don't rush off to your next shot, or don't go ahead of either the tee box or when you're in the fairway of the last person or the next person to hit.
Mm-hmm. I can't say I knew that. Just as a collective, as a unit of 4, everyone I've played with, there was one time where I had a couple buddies that were like scooting along, but it happened toward the 12th or 13th, so we're on the back 9 there. And I was like, hey guys, are we playing the same hole?
Yeah.
Like, are we playing together, or do you guys want to go up there? We'll give you a little more space, right? And they're like, oh, Richie, come on. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, we're playing together. Stop rushing through. You know what I mean? This is one errant time, but...
Yeah, and then if you're ahead, the reasoning is because you don't want to get hit, right? Even if I'm hitting and you're way ahead of me, I still tell you, watch out.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're to the right of the line of sight or my angle, I still say, hey, Rich, heads up, coming your way. Like,
coming your way, yeah, exactly. You could be 30, 40 yards off the fairway, right? Like the large fairway, right? You're on the right cart path or whatever. It's still like somebody's up there. You want to make sure safety is very important.
Yeah. I will say I've probably gotten more relaxed on that. I have more recently kind of like scooted up past, let's say you're hitting, I'll probably like go as far as I think I'm safe, and maybe not, but I've probably been breaking that rule quite a bit here lately, I think.
Get it together.
Yeah.
You're reading the rules.
This is why we're going over them again.
Right. We need a refresher as we're in golf season. Yeah, 100%.
No, very true, because, some of these I know, but I don't always abide by. So, but I do always yell 4. I will never not do that. Play ready golf. So ready golf is essentially whoever's next up, except for the tee box. Once you're out, once you hit in the fairway or wherever, whoever's ready to go hits first. So.
Yeah. Again, a rule that I didn't quite know. We just kind of play at the pace of play we're at. especially if you're behind a hole and a half, like you got to pick it up because people are waiting on you. Like definitely, like just get through that hole, like get up to the next tee box, crank it out. You'll catch up pretty quickly. I mean, depending on the level of skill way ahead of you. But the people behind you, they paid for the same time, right? And if you're around, right, we're thinking 4 hours around.
I think it's a 4.5.
Yeah, four and a half, right? 15 minutes a hole on a foursome, right? And you're coming up on the 12th or 13th hole, and you're at 3 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours, 50 minutes. Like you are taking everybody's time behind you. And we've all played where people are, I mean, I've played a round where it's 5.5 hours, almost 6 hours, and it's just absolutely frustrating. Like you're paying the green fees, you're doing this, you're trying to have a good time, but you're not able to play at the right pace. Like you're getting anxious, you're getting frustrated. It's like, dude, come on. Like who up here ahead of us is causing this problem?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you see yourself drawn back, you can't see those other players ahead of you. Like you're already at a problem. Like unless you're 100 yards from the green and they're walking off and they're teeing off, like that's when you shouldn't see them.
Yeah.
But if you're not seeing them up on the green when you're teeing off, pick it up. Like even if you got to pick up your ball and just like go, like
yeah,
just
or
move.
yeah, which I don't like doing, but you let the group behind you go, but.
You're just going to start a chain reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're just behind again on the next group. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's always going to be somebody behind you. Just maintain the cautiousness of 15 minutes per hole per foursome, right? You stay on that target, you're going to be just fine. Nobody's going to complain behind you.
Yep.
And I'm one, you know me, I'm one to speak up when we're catching up to people and like, hey, dude, pick it up. Like, what are you doing out here? You know what I mean? It's you're not getting paid. And I get it if you got a little scramble game going on or a skins game or anything like that, but like you're ruining everybody else's time behind you. And there's people behind us. Like I always think of other people. They might be getting away a dad's day out or something that they got to get back and get their kids and all that stuff. Let them be able to enjoy the 18 holes they paid for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
and not in 6 hours.
Yeah, not in 6 hours. Like babysitters cost money, or they've got honey to do lists, or maybe work or something like that. Like,
or he just wants to grab a few beers after the round, and now you're cutting into that time.
Now you're cutting into the guy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right.
Yeah, that's again one that I didn't really know, just kind of picked up along the way. So I think these are phenomenal unwritten rules or written rules, and to be cognizant of playing this game. Right, like it's really important.
I mean,
be
definitely.
respectful.
I mean, if I took someone like brand new, I don't think I would explain half of these rules. You know what I mean? It would, as it happens, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, sorry. And it's like, it feels like that you're like, are you making up your own rules as we go along? You know?
Right.
But it's a good refresher for sure, because I think I did golf a few times, like with my dad when I was younger, before high school, and he. They did tell as it happened. They told you like, oh, you gotta wait your turn, or tell you the little rules there. And,
100%.
So, here's one I think that a lot of us, especially new people, don't do is leave no trace, meaning fix your ball marks, fix your divots. If you hit a beaver tail, so. And I don't know if most people know, but divots are kind of the little piece of grass that you take when you hit. And then the ball marks are the marks on the green. You just kind of get your divot. They call it a divot repair tool. I don't know why, because it's not a divot. But the ball mark repair and, fix the little ball mark that it makes. I was at a golf course last week. And, we were joking. We're like, if all four of us fixed 2 each hole, we still wouldn't even get close to fixing them all.
100%.
Yeah. So is that something you knew?
No, I didn't know that coming into the sport. But obviously watching you and other players, like I got my divot repaired all times.
I think it's something you learn pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. And here's the thing. Like, first of all, you have the actual divot repair when you rip the ground up with your club, right? You grab the sand, you put it back over, or if you grab the Mother Earth, I always say when I do that, I'm like, man, I just ripped up Mother Earth right there.
Yeah.
Grab it, put it back, step on it a little bit, make sure it's good. You want to make sure when people are paying their fees to play these awesome courses, that they have a good time.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest pet peeves, everybody knows my home course is Teal Bend. It's right here. But they opened up twilight hours, and so everybody's coming to golf. And I went and golfed 2 weeks after they started doing the twilight rounds. Dude, it's just ball marks all over the greens. I'm like, dude, like,
Yeah.
come on, man. You don't get an honest line, right? And it just makes it look really trashy.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice course.
And they don't heal that well. So if you're not fixing them, then it just becomes like a little burn mark.
It's,
So
yeah, I'm keen on that one. Especially on the divots, like when you rip up Mother Earth, right? Karma does come into effect. I promise. Like that stuff does happen, but it also makes great for the landscapers to come back and repair that area, and all that. But especially on the greens for your ball marks, think about how you would feel if somebody did that ahead of you and it's right in your line. Mm-hmm. Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
I didn't know that coming in, but I've got a divot repair that stays with me at all times.
Yeah. I know. I love chasing down when you hit a wedge shot from the fairway. And I love chasing down that perfect little patch that you hit out, and you just put it, and it fits perfectly.
Yeah,
that was a perfect shot.
It's like nailed it.
And the shot was good too.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Not when you chunk.
And here's the thing: everybody's going to do it. It's always going to happen. Yep. Like at any part of any round, you're going to rip up the ground, right?
I know when I first started playing, I didn't want to take any ground because I was so, I don't know. I just don't want to mess up. Like you said, I don't want to mess up the course. I don't want to mess up the earth, the grass, because it's so nice. And then finally, I'm like, you just got to hit it and just repair it, or put it back, whatever it is, or grab your little sand or your dirt repair or whatever it's called, your bucket of dirt, and just put it over.
Yeah. So for me, I was always scared to hit the ground at first. I didn't want to hurt my wrist, hurt my club, in any way. And then I realized Mother is pretty forgiving on the club. Like,
it will heal.
Yeah, it'll heal. And as long as you're not near a root or a rock, your wrist is going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it cuts right through.
Yeah.
It's surprising how nice it cuts through the earth. So beware of your shadow, meaning, if your shadow's casting and it's onto their ball when they're putting or tee box, just make sure you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Is that...
I didn't know that one. Chad Foe, shout out again. This is a good one.
It feels like Chad was your Mr. Miyagi of golf.
Oh man, he's such a good friend, man. He's a really good golfer too. I love golfing with him.
Yeah.
He's big bro right there. I forget exactly where we were playing at, but the sun was casting down, and I'm just standing still as he's starting to putt, and he's like, "Hey, Rich, can you watch your shadow for me?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Now I'm cognizant of it. Okay, now I watch everybody like on their shadow, and I'll even ask people, "Hey, man, can you watch out real quick?" Like, it obviously we're not going to move a tree.
Yeah,
trees have shadows, right? That cast down there. There's nothing you can do about that. But a physical human being that can move, get out of the way, let them see that clear line, and it displaces the ball a little bit. Like when the sun's shining on it, and then you're in a shadow or it's in that line, you want to make sure you're reading the putt right, right? And the shadow displacing where the sun's at is going to affect your line of vision.
Yeah, I love the one where you realize that your head is on their ball or whatever, and you're like, well, now I can't move because I'm stuck, and if I move, he's going to see it.
Right.
You're like stuck in that in between of, I hope he like realizes, and so he can tell me, or I can move real quick and kind of dodge out of the way. But it's funny when I catch myself stuck in that moment of, do I move or do I just stay?
Well, what's funny is like once you start realizing like some of these rules on the game, it's natural to pick them up, and it's not really, it's not a problem or troublesome to not do any of these.
Exactly. And I don't think any of these are like, the original snooty golf. I guess maybe the quiet one is, but it's not anything that's like crazy, not going to want to make you play the game.
Right.
So tend the pin. I don't know if we do this as much anymore, because basically if you're putting, you can have someone tend the pin. So they're going to hold the pin so you can see, and you're far away. And so they hold it they hold the flag into the pin, they hold the flag into the hole, and then that way you can see where the hole is. Because normally when you're on the green, you have to take the pin out. Well, now new rules, I think it's 2019, you can leave the pin in no matter what. So I don't think really people tend anymore, but you can still do it.
I really prefer pin out.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily know tend the pin.
Yeah.
Again, great question. We do have friends that will tend the pin on occasion, especially if there might be money on the line or some form of competition to make sure their partner's got the best line. And okay, cool. Hey, I'm reading this right to left. Okay, cool. I'm going to hold this and then pull it. I love having the pin out, right? I watched this video where this guy, he set up on the same line from about 5 feet out and just rolled it down this little rail or whatever right in the pin. And I think it was 10 out of 10 without the pin went in. And I think it was like 6 or 7 went in with the pin in.
Yep.
I'm like, give me every opportunity to keep this under 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, give me every opportunity. So when I watch that video, I'm constantly like, hey, can you pull that pin? Can you pull the pin? Or I'll grab it as we go up. But each group is different. Some guys like it in, some guys don't. I'm a fan of pulling the pin out.
Yeah. I'm 50-50. It's almost like how I feel that day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because some days I'll be like, oh no, leave it in because I had a few putts that banked off the pin and dropped, right? Or there's sometimes where, on the third hole, I'll putt and it'll hit the pin and then it bounces out. And I'm like, oh, that's it for the rest of the day.
I would just
the rest of the day, I'm like, nope, take it out.
I would just really love putting bumpers on when I go to pin. I had 5 lip outs the other day. I was just playing.
Yeah. I had a few like putts that I hit pretty hard and I knew had the pin and I made it because it bounced off the back and dropped. But I knew if the pin was in, it probably would have bounced, ricocheted off. Yeah. So I think I'm more old school. Like now that talking through it, I'm definitely pin out. Yeah. Pin out kind of guy.
Yeah, 100%.
I know it does help with pace of play, but I think you still got to do whatever you're comfortable with or what you're more confident with, right? So another one is, this one I didn't know, and I had to learn it pretty quick, is don't walk in other people's putting line. So what that means is like if someone is putting and you have the distance between the ball and the hole, don't step in that line, in that imaginary line of the ball to the hole, right?
Next to again, this is something I didn't know and learned really quick.
Oh yeah, I've seen so many people step in my line or your line or people's lines.
It is next to the ball markers on the green. This is my pet peeve. This way, it's so frustrating to me. It's like a sign of disrespect. You don't care about my line. I don't step in front of your line. You don't step in front of mine, right? It is not hard to step over or step around, right? Just be mindful of it. No one cares where you walk on the green if you got to run up there, your ball's already up there and cool. You're waiting for the other guy's shots. You kind of want to mark it, especially if everybody's kind of close. Yeah. Their line isn't made yet. Yeah. Right. And especially with people that wear cleats like myself, or you wear cleats as well, right? You're gonna tear up that green,
or at least put a little indent into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's gonna change the line. This is something that I think people should pay attention to. I'm definitely one to be like, hey, don't walk in my line. Yeah. Like, especially if you got one time. Yep. Right. Second time, it's going to be a little stiffer warning. Be like, hey, dude, like, pay attention. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, next to the ball markers on the green, this is my biggest pet peeve is when people aren't respectful of other people's lines because we're all playing to get the lowest score possible. Yeah. You know.
I don't think I knew that about you. I don't think I knew that. So I'll be very mindful when I play with you.
You guys don't. No, nobody does it, right? I think.
Or you ask. You're like, oh, can I step here? Am I good? Or if they just give you like, oh, go ahead, man, it doesn't matter. Then you can at least still try. But if you like do the the step over and the stretch, then at least you tried.
Yeah, get over that line. One thing where this does come into play. Say you have 2 players on the green, or whatever, and they're kind of close, and one guy's reading his line, and he does the balance to check, the elevation shift in that. And they're putting before you, right? If it happens, this one I'm more forgiving on than saying, hey, if you're walking it. But if you're doing it, if it's pretty consistent, like, hey, dude, like, I get what you're doing. Just Why don't you wait? Let me put this out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of guys are doing that now where they go and walk up and they test it.
Yeah.
So, that is adding a new element to the don't step in people's lines. But because I know guys even go stand over the hole sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So
they got these awesome green readers on Amazon for like $10 where you can see the elevation. Drop that down.
I think that's illegal.
If you're,
I think that's illegal.
well, if you're playing in a tournament, but if you're playing a 4-man scram or like just having fun, just grab that thing, drop it down. You're not, especially if there's not a money on the line, like real money. Like, dude, you're gonna 3-putt anyway.
If there's not real money, unless I'm about to score, like, unless I'm about to shoot in the 70s, like I got a game going like that, I don't really care if people step in my line or read, or even ask, like, do you care? No, just hit it,
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's money, I mean, you got to be more cognizant for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Because
or at least know who
you're trying to get your money, but you're stepping in my line to get your money.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm gonna go check that too, and I'm gonna step on yours. How about that? Not really. I don't care enough. That's
another unwritten rule is you can't bring a water bottle and place it on the green.
Yeah.
Because then it shows you same kind of thing. Level. It shows you.
Yeah.
It shows you which way the earth is.
We're talking about tournament play.
Yeah.
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 But if you're playing with your buddies, man, like just.
They probably don't even know.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know. Well, they will now. Yeah. But they don't know what we're doing if you just put a water bottle down and like, all right, there it is.
Yeah. I want to watch you.
Yeah. So, all right, the old breakfast ball. This is one of my favorites.
I love this one. Yeah. So if you don't have warm up on your first tee shot, right? Is it without warm up or is it just?
I mean, if you're with your buddies, it's probably loosely. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You have a horrible first tee shot on the first hole.
Yeah,
it's breakfast ball rules.
Yeah,
I think anything goes. Even if you hit 100 balls before, and that's your first tee shot, the guys are probably like, hey, breakfast ball.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but I think the original rule is no warm up, and you just literally walk to the first tee, and that's you shank one to the right with your driver. Most guys would be, hey, breakfast ball. Or even you could announce, like, hey, I'm taking my breakfast ball.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, again, a rule I didn't know without playing.
Yeah.
You're around people that play a lot. Okay, cool, breakfast ball. I actually didn't know that it was only the first tee till we were talking about it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it was the first tee.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, there's variations where you could save it and you have a kind of a breakfast ball mulligan. Oh, yeah, and for everyone who doesn't know, if you take a breakfast ball, your first ball doesn't count.
You're right.
So you're just hitting one again free. So you get no penalty, no stroke. You're hitting one. So some groups, you're like, 8th hole, you finally shank your tee. You're off the tee box on 8, and you're like, oh, there's my breakfast. I'm taking my breakfast ball since I didn't use it, right?
Yeah, I was fasting this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you can hang on to it, and they'll let you use it.
Know who you're playing with, man.
Exactly.
Know who you're playing with. I didn't know that it was originally first tee, no warm up.
Yep.
But we kind of play pretty
especially
loosely.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we try to get out there at like 6:30 in the morning. You're not gonna hit a bunch of range balls. You're literally rolling up at 6:25, paying your greens fee, and then you're teeing off at 6:30.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of times I've met you. I mean, I've literally ran out and just right to the tee box and gone. So, yeah, I think that's what it's more designed for. I mean, I guess it's not designed for technically cheating, but
you're not going to do that in a tournament.
Exactly. So, but you're going to warm up in a tournament. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fun little thing you can, mess around with, and if you hit a bad shot, you can say, "Oh, breakfast ball."
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
So.
Our group tends to hold on to that, or we're pretty lenient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, we're in.
Yeah, I think, and then there's the old lunch ball too, which is the back nine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I like to use it on the hot dog hole, which is number 10, because all you think about is that dang hot dog.
That's it, dude.
You're just trying to eat it.
Hot dog at the turn, baby.
Yeah, you're just trying to eat it and finish it. Your hands are greasy. You got ketchup everywhere. And you're trying to make sure the crows and the squirrels aren't eating your hot dog.
Yep.
So, and that's all you're worried about. So I always say on 10, whatever you got, subtract one. Because usually you're not thinking about it anyway. So let's say you bogey, you get a par. If you par, you keep a par. But
where have you been with these rules? Yeah. I have never heard this.
Well,
now I know.
And usually you just watch and see how it's going.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like everybody shoots a 6 on it. Let's say it's par 4 and everyone hits a 6. I'll be like, let's all take bogeys because that was a hot dog hole.
Hot dog hole, baby. Yep.
So, or you take the lunch ball if you tee off bad. So.
Yeah. No, I didn't really know the formalities of the rule. I just know you start playing, people are like, oh, breakfast ball. You tend to know what that.
Yeah, you hang on.
Yeah. You're like, oh, sweet.
Yeah. So here's one that I think depends on the person, but don't talk to other people's balls. And what we mean by that is so let's say Rich hits a shot and it's a little long to the green, and I'm like, oh, short, or sit, but I'm talking to his ball. Some people don't like that. Go ahead.
I didn't know that one. I didn't know that one. I hear some of our friends like will talk to other people's balls. I didn't know that one. Now since learning that rule, I've been mindful.
Yeah.
I know some people really care. I know a lot of people that don't care.
Yeah.
That might be one of those little nuanced things about Rich that I bring to the arsenal. Don't talk to my ball, dude.
Yeah.
That's my ball. You know what I mean?
So you prefer if people don't talk to your ball?
I don't care.
Yeah, I was like,
I don't care, man.
Yeah.
I just learning that one. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna see how other people are. If you talk to my ball, I don't care. But if just know I'm gonna talk to yours.
Yeah.
You know,
you can give it the same love.
Yeah, same love, dude. Yeah. I think it's all love, dude. They're like, you see
exactly.
somebody
You're rooting for the other person, essentially. In my mind, you're rooting for them.
That's what I think. Because I think in our group, especially, like we want the other person to do well, right? We consistently want that. Even when we have money on the line, it's like, oh man, you want to see somebody hit a good shot.
Yeah.
Like
or you want a good match. You don't want necessarily like, oh, you just blew them out of the water because they're having a horrible day. You want a good match, or you just, like you said, you want to see them play well.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep it interesting.
It is awesome seeing ball flight like just go exactly where it should go, right? You think you're going long, you're like, sit, and it actually drops on the green 5 feet from the hole. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
I've never really, I mean, I talk to other people's balls too, and it's more, like you said, it's more out of love and compassion. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it is.
It's more about it just rooting for the person.
Yeah.
And, but I have been in tournaments where, I wasn't me, but I've been in a tournament where the guy's like talking to the other guy, like, hey man, like don't talk to don't say anything when I hit. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah. I was golfing last week, and
I was like, I didn't know that serious.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody last week after learning that rule, and it was John. And I was like, oh man, yeah, I heard this. Like, what do you think about it? He's like, oh, I don't care, man. Like, that's not a big deal. He's like, I was playing in a tournament one time where I talked to somebody else's ball and it actually went out of bounds. And that guy was so pissed. And he's like, don't talk to me. He didn't talk to him for 4 holes.
Oh, dang. Right?
And I don't think that's John's fault.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's your freaking shot, bro.
Exactly. You're blaming the person. And it's funny that we are so superstitious. Like, oh, if he didn't talk to it, it would have stayed in.
Right. You know what I mean? Chance, dude. You went out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that he said. I promise the wind from his breath didn't move that ball that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah. It's a funny phenomenon that once you hit the ball, you have no control after that.
You already did it.
Yeah.
You already
set it in motion.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So here's the final one, and the reason why it's final, because it's what we do at the end of the round. And it probably looks really weird for someone who doesn't golf. At the end of the round, we usually, once the last putt drops, we take off our hats and we all shake hands, say, hey, nice playing with you, thanks for playing. If you had just met the person, you're like, hey, nice meeting you, whatever it may be. Like, is that, and I'm kind of thinking back, I don't think I ever got taught that. But I just went along with it, and now it's actually an unwritten rule that you congratulate after the round.
I don't leave an 18th green without shaking everybody's hand.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Except if they walk off, I'm not gonna be like, hey, come back and do this. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I do commend everyone in our groups that plays. We all do that. We all do that. Whether it's a bad round, whether you got to race home or anything like that. I'm one of those guys that puts my tee right here. And for the longest time, at the end, I would forget that I got my tee there, take off my hat, shake a hand, and I got to pick up my tee.
Yeah.
So now, after I drop the last putt, or if it is my last putt and I'm the last one off, I put my tee in my mouth and then hit it, and then I go pull my ball, and then shake everybody's hand.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think that's an amazing thing. You just spent 4.5, 5 hours with people, and you're hanging out. Like, congratulate around, dude. It was good fun, man. We're blessed to be alive and playing this sport and having fun, dude. Like,
I think it's cool too because when you shake at the end, I've been playing with a buddy for 15 years, but when you finish the round, and you shake the hand, or the bro hug or whatever, it's like it's the first time you played together. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like a cool way, even though you know them, even though I know you, I'm still gonna treat you like it was our first round we ever played together.
Yeah, we dapped each other up.
Yeah.
On before we we started playing and all that stuff. That's cool. But you spending 4.5, 5 hours with people, right? Like, think of it. You're at your family's house for Thanksgiving dinner. Right? Are you just gonna walk off? No, you're gonna hug everybody. You're gonna dap them up in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's a great rule. Like, you just spent 4.5, 5 hours with somebody. I think it's awesome.
I think it's a cool unwritten rule because and if I look at rule books or the USGA or the NCGA, there's no, hey, you got to take your hat off and congratulate everyone after, you know. So I think that's a good one to end on. And
I think that shows respect for the people you're with and respect for the game. 100%.
Yep. So, and I do get stuck like you do, where sometimes, I carry, a bunch of stuff with me to the green. So you're like, you hold it and then you're like kind of fumbling with it, or you are the last guy to putt out. And then you're kind of like, do I pick up my ball first, or do I, you kind of are kind of in that limbo of whose hand do I shake, or what's the process?
It is funny. Sometimes it's left and right. Sometimes it's crossover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
great unwritten rule.
I love it. So, all right. So that kind of ends that, the unwritten rule part of the day. So, the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and just briefly, is, our favorite shots and our least favorite shots, meaning, just when you're on the course and you're in that lie or wherever you are, you're like, oh yeah, this is my go-to, or this is just, even if I don't hit it well, I love hitting that shot. What's one for you?
So,
or even a couple.
Yeah. So I have my trusty 6, and recently I've been hitting my 4 hybrid really well, really well. I do know if I'm about 200 out, that now I've got the skill up on that hybrid, which is super hard to hit, I guess. I know that if I'm in any kind of line to reach the green from about 200, I have that club that I can reach it on. And that's a really fun shot. My trusty 6, man, I just been hitting that. For some reason, that club spoke to me when I first started really playing. And I just found that, those, whenever I'm 165, 175 out, that, hey man, I have a really good shot and a really good chance, if I do this well, putting it on the green. Those are great. And I really, really enjoy my 60 degree. That is something that I really love. If I'm 65 in, like, I just really like watching that ball kind of soar up in the air and just
hit it as high as you can. And just sit.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorites.
I would agree. I would say one of my favorite shots right now is about the 250 3-wood. Like, I can swing nice and easy, and as long as I stay still, I mean, I could just 250 dial. Like, I already know the number. So, and it just, when I hear it hit the club and it's straight where I was aiming, it's just a beautiful feeling. Like, and I just love, hitting that. I should, even just for fun, like, just play around with just my 3-wood and see how much better I play. Because I'd probably be in the fairway, I'd probably say more than half the holes. I'd probably be in the fairway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that sound. And I love being on the side. Let's say you're hitting. I love being on the side of you or someone who's hitting. I just love hearing it go like cut through the air. That's so just awesome. Such a cool. Yeah, it's like, oh man, that's what I like. It's just crazy. Some of the sounds, like the ASMR. Is it ASMR? Is that yeah? So ASMR, like the sound is just so soothing, and like the tee shot, like just the driver hitting and making that ting sound, and they don't make it as much anymore, but just that sound of the driver.
I love the ping, right? Like it's so awesome to me. Especially when you hear somebody hit a really good drive and
Yeah.
they're not the flat sound on most of the drivers now.
Yep.
Somebody's got an
Some
old
are
school
dull,
driver.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
know.
that.
I know you had or you borrowed one of my old school drivers where it's just that
Cobra.
metal, the metal face, and it just that's why I keep it because I love that sound.
It's so
Sometimes I
awesome.
just hit it just to hear it.
Yeah,
just to
to
reminisce.
hear it. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I would say I love the flop shot. I can't always hit it. I need to practice distances. I would say, but I just love hitting the flop shot because it just wherever you land, it just sits. And I'd almost rather do that than my normal chip shot because I don't know, who knows where that's going to go. At least with the flop shot, I know it's going to get up and sit wherever it goes. At least on the green, where sometimes I'll blade. If I'm trying to chip, I can blade it 50 yards past.
Yeah.
I did that last time I played.
One
twice.
thing about all the shots I like, it's on flat ground.
Oh,
It's on flat
true.
ground, man. If
Very
I'm on
true.
a hill, like I'm finding out if I need to choke up or choke down or how I'm hitting like my flat shots. Like that's what I really like. But now being able to hit my hybrid, I got that extra distance, that extra 30, 40 yards. That really makes a big difference when we're talking about getting to the green or even rolling up or hitting something, 30 yards out, from the 165 to the 200 or so. I like having that club. Since I've been able to hit that club, I'm using less irons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So if you weren't hitting your 4 hybrid, what would you hit? Like a 5 iron, 4 iron?
I don't have a 5 iron in my arsenal or 4 iron.
So the next one down is 6 iron?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I do have a pretty big gap between that 200 and 175 range. But normally I can figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, just take a little off your 4 hybrid.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you probably don't. It's probably not a big issue right now because how often are you, exactly 190 out where you can't, where you need the 5 iron or whatever it is.
I got my 5 hybrid too that I can.
Oh, okay, so you got that too.
I got that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just don't have an iron.
So then you go 4 hybrid, 5 hybrid, 6 iron. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a little mini what's in the bag for Rich right there.
Yeah. I told him I got a 60. Right? I'm not saying anything else, guys.
Yeah. I love. I want to work more on my flop shot because those are cool. You get cool points.
Awesome.
Yeah, you get cool points. Plus, there's a lot of times with my driver, or my irons, I got to hit over something because I just bladed it into the who knows where.
Yeah, we'll find it. Hopefully your partner's watching your ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's and I would say I love being in the sand. I forgot about that one. Doesn't matter. I could be in the fairway. I could be greenside bunker. Yeah, I don't know.
JR, certified beach guy.
Yeah. You get your tan, you hang out, get your tan.
Yeah.
And hit
You call
a nice
that
shot.
the camel, right?
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
your little animal.
Yeah. I just, we played at the Ridge. I mean, every time, I probably was living in the sand, but I just loved it because it was, like I've said this before, I'd rather be in the sand than anywhere around the green. I just more comfortable for some reason. And it's confidence, I think. But yeah, I can just, any sand shot. I love it.
Bryson.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Oh yeah, the 50-yard. Yeah.
That
exactly.
was awesome.
So any other favorite shots you have? Otherwise, we'll move on to. I should have started with the negative first. I don't know why I started with positive, but
We start with gratitude here.
there you go. Exactly.
We start with gratitude.
Grateful for these
We
shots.
start with gratitude. We'll say whatever else,
Yeah,
whatever else we got to do, and then we'll end it off with a little love.
Yeah, grateful for the shots we can hit.
Yeah. Man, right now, I've been having some difficulty with my driver as I continue to elevate in my skill level in this game. Like learning different shots on different clubs can be a little difficult. Honestly, I don't really have a shot I absolutely hate. I'm not a huge fan of sand, but I can hit out of it pretty well with the 60, just flatten the blade. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is pretty good. Slow down in the sand for me. Slow down because I want to get out of there. Yeah. And I'm like, hold on, put the weight on the front foot, open up the blade a little bit, and get underneath.
Kind of get more into the process, and then you don't have to hit there again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I freaking hate long par threes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are on my list.
It's already kind of demoralizing. Yeah.
It's like how I gotta either put both butt cheeks into it. I'm not gonna feel real confident in the swing or anything like that.
Go anywhere.
But long par threes, man, tend to frustrate me a little bit, especially if there's like a hazard, like water. You know, if there's typically that's where we're gonna find water. Yeah, that's the off the tee on a long par three, something 220 or so out. Like it is frustrating. I know I know my hybrid's there a little bit, but like I got to break out the 3-wood. I'm not as confident off the tee with that as I am off the fairway. Long par three off the tee is probably my.
Yeah. Do you remember Yochadihi? There's a par three in the very back. I think it's the back nine.
Yeah.
But it's in the back, and you can only because they even have the electrical mowers, the self mowers.
It's got all of the freaking sand throughout.
And even from the white, it's like 205.
Yeah.
And then the golds, which is further back, I think it's like 239 or something. And that, I dread that. I dread that hole every time because I'm gonna hit an easy 3-wood eventually, like if you're playing golds, but
something like that. And that one's really tough because they have the sand trap throughout, right there on the right hand side of the fairway, like just to the right of the fairway,
all along the whole right side,
all along it, dude. And it's not just like one sand; they got hills in between, so you got to hit up, right and out, and get it over there that extra 130, 150 yards. Yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah.
Least favorite shots are long par threes.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I didn't think about that one. But I don't know if I have a least favorite. I think I'm kind of like you where you said like the driver, when it's off, it's just not a fun day. I mean, it's whether it's a slice, whether it's just you're hitting it far, but you're hitting it in the woods, or you're hitting, here in California, we got a lot of trees on the courses. Mm-hmm. Never really like a clean shot. I think that's frustrating when just everyday drivers and again, I'm not the typical, I don't put it away. I still try to figure it out. I still try to, bully through, and just sometimes doesn't work, and you're shooting in the 90s, So.
Yeah. I hit a, I forget where I was playing at, but I had recently talked to somebody that put their driver away the entire round.
Right,
and my ego was like, dude, I'll never do that. And then a short while later, I'm on the 5th tee, hit another errant drive, and I put it away and just teed off with my 3-wood the rest of the game. And even the next time I played, because I didn't get in the lab enough to really dial it in, I was like, nope, I'm gonna 3-wood this thing up the entire time, and have a better shot at hitting the fairway. Yeah.
I would say another one I hate is when you're hitting a wayward shot to begin with, but it's when you blade it across and then you still have no shot getting back, or like you leave yourself short-sighted on the green. And for those of you, short-sighted on the green means that now the pin is much closer to you, so you have less green to work with. So the pin is super close, so you have to drop it like probably in the rough and let it trickle out, or hit a flop shot, but then you're under a tree, so then you can't. And
then if it's on a hill, you're hitting over a hill.
You have all these lovely things.
Yeah, all these lovely things. But it just makes the game that much better when you're just not always like, oh, this is exactly where I wanted it to be. Yeah. This is everything, man.
And then it's great when you pull it off. The 1 out of 10 times you pull it off, it's amazing. Feels great. Everyone's cheering you on. They're like, oh, shit, you hit a good shot. Or, that was amazing. Right? They're like, oh, yeah, I hit that great all recovery. The time. Yeah, exactly.
Great recovery for sure.
Yeah. It was like, I hit that all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
But, those are my least favorite shots, I would say. Because with my blading, it happens at least once or twice around.
Happens.
So... All right. So, any other worst shots? We'll move on to the next.
Yeah, we're
okay. Good. So to kind of end here. So last time I spoke about my scorecard. I did play again, but unfortunately I forgot my scorecard. So we're gonna have Rich here go over his last round as the second scorecard reading.
Yeah, this is awesome. Just so everybody gets to know, like, we all are not professionals. We're not getting paid for this. I'm almost 2 years into this. I've only broken 100 twice.
Yep.
I will say my scores have drastically decreased.
Yeah.
From last year.
A lot more consistent around the same area. Right?
Yeah.
Or the same number. Right?
Yeah. It's coming around. So last year, playing at Teal Bend, I was hitting anywhere from 115 to 125 in that range. So I played last Tuesday and shot a 107.
Okay.
Right. I still don't have my
respectable.
handicap. That's what we're working
Oh,
on.
yeah.
I'm gonna play again. I'm gonna break 90 this next time. I promise. So let me just say, I started off back-to-back triple bogeys. Woo! Back-to-back. So the first hole is a par 4. I hit a 7. Second hole is a par 5. I hit an 8. I topped that with a quadruple on the next one. Right. So hearing 107 after that,
Yeah.
I'm like, so we can see there's some.
You calm down.
Yeah.
And okay, let's see.
Just let the nerves go in.
So what is that? 6? You're what? 10 over?
Yeah, that's 10 over.
Yeah.
10
Hey,
over after 3.
That sounds like a good comeback to me.
10 over. Yeah, 10
right,
over after 3. Then I hit bogey, double bogey, bogey. Then I did a triple and a double after that. Then a double. I shot a 57 on the front. 57 on the front.
Looking like Old Rich there for a minute.
It was pretty close
All right.
looking on that. I will say on the back I shot a 50.
Okay.
Right. Double on the 10th, double on the 11th, par 12,
There you
bogey 13, bogey 14, bogey 15. I'm playing pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's something I say. Even for me,
Bogey
I
golf
say
is good,
bogey is perfectly fine, because like what I did with my round. I mean, a birdie here or even a string of pars. Hey, you're under bogey golf, which is breaking 90.
Yeah,
So-
bogey golf is great golf, right? Something to think about as you're new getting into this game. If you just put a par 5 on every hole's a par 5, that's a 90.
Yep.
Right? So, like, think about that when we're comparing your scores to other scores, or just comparing your scores to previous scores and all that, right? Breaking 100 is awesome once you start doing it consistently. I've only done it twice, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So it's always that challenge, like, okay, cool. And then when I do it again, can I do it back to back?
Yeah.
Well, I already know
it
I have the
consistent.
skills. Yeah, getting consistent with it. Par, bogey, 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 which is great. 4 holes in a row. Just string that together.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to be good.
That's what I was saying. You calm down.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening, you got a hold of it.
Exactly. Then I tripled on that par 3. That was
that's right.
difficult putting.
Yeah.
On that hole.
Oh yeah. Was that
It's 14.
was it a 3 putt?
Oh, 16.
Or was it,
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 4
No,
putt.
4 putt.
4 putt. So I hit an errant shot off of the green, or off the tee box, and then I'm behind these giant reeds behind the water, and I only have about 4.5 feet to get it over the reeds and land over the water onto the green. And I did hit the green.
There you go. See,
Right.
That was a great shot.
It was a great shot. That's cool.
Then
Just work on the putting.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Like, just go out there and have fun. I get to look back on that and be like, oh, yeah, if that ever happens again, I now have the confidence to hit that shot again.
Yeah.
You know? And we know that 16th hole is pretty brutal at times. But yeah, then finished off with 2 doubles. But yeah, I mean, if I do the front and back, like 50-50, I'm at 100.
yeah.
Right?
Or even if you cut off.
Cut off
Let's say you.
2 of those putts.
Yeah. Or even on the first 3 holes. I mean, you could cut 7 out of strokes out of that. Either
Right.
Or 10 over.
10 over, right?
3 holes.
If I just drop those down, I'm breaking 90 again. But yeah, like, everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Just like in any field, any sport, any career, anything like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see once you break 100 consistently, then you're gonna be shooting for the 90s. Like
90 is the target right now.
Yeah, okay.
Because especially if I can do 5 holes or a par 5 on every hole, right? Just keeping that consistent, right? I can.
So what's a goal that you set for yourself by the end of the year?
Well, I want to know my handicap.
Okay.
So that's something
That's right. That's a good starting place, right?
Yeah, I want to know
Because
my
then
handicap, because then I can start playing that. Right now, it's just getting, if I can get under 100 every other time I golf, right? Just get the next one and then worry about the next one after that.
Okay.
But yeah, I appreciate you allowing me to share
Of
and
course,
just
yeah.
show other golfers out here, like,
Yeah,
this
I mean,
is a
we're
game
just
one loves
regular
forever.
guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can play.
Yeah.
Like I do get a lot of people who want to start, but then they're like, "Oh no, you're so good," or "I've heard you guys are," and then you actually come out, and then you're like, "Oh no, you just play." Like, yes, I can shoot in the 70s, but I've shot in the 90s before. You know, so if you just come out and you have fun and you realize, hey, everyone plays at their own level, and it's just fun to come out and start playing. And then you get competitive. You know, like for one of my goals this year is I was hoping, it's not over yet, the year, but but I wanted to shoot in the 70s 10 times this year. Last year, I think I shot in the 70s probably like 4 times, and which is nice because my home course is a par 71, so that helps. So it gives me an extra shot, an extra stroke to work with. But so far, I've only done it twice, with a 76 and a 77, and then I've shot 80 twice. So I've been really close. And then this last round that we just played, I shot an 81, so 10 over, and I was 2 over after 13 to kind of give you this. So I blew it up. I had a double. I think I had a quad. I had a quad on a par 3 also. I had a 7.
Everybody gets quads.
And it was over water. I didn't hit it in the water, but I hit the cart path, and then it flew a million miles.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I had to come back, so it took me a few strokes anyway. Yeah, so quad on par 3. But
so I'll shoot for that, man. Something I'll think about that a little bit more, but maybe shooting under 110 times.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, and then eventually it'll be without thinking about it. You break 100 90% of the time you play.
There we go.
So, yeah, hopefully I can see once you kind of get to where I am, where I'm trying to break this. It's like almost like it's still fun, but it's like frustrating because it's like for the 81, I'm like, if I would have just doubled that hole, I would have shot a 79.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like there's so many times you think like, oh, I left this shot out there. If I would have hit, or if I would have just made this putt, or if I wouldn't have tried to get cute and hit a flop shot and just chipped it, you know, I wouldn't have bladed it, whatever, you know, you just, every shot you leave out there. But, well, Rich, I appreciate you coming on again. Thank you so much for, being episode number 2 and almost a regular so far.
Let's go, baby. Let's run it back.
Let's go. And thank you, everyone.
Back pars.
Yeah, there we go. And thank you, everyone, for joining the Game One Loves Forever.
All right,
we're out. We'll see you next time.